sex. We're talking about everything to do with attraction between the sexes. That's intimacy, that's relationships, that's conversations, that's sex, that's pleasure, that's dating, that's first conversations, that's reigniting the passion after long years of marriage. It is everything. It's time for Pillow Talk. Of course it is. That's exactly what we do on a Thursday night. And thankfully, I'm always joined by an expert, but tonight's guest is someone that I'm exceptionally excited about because in my younger years, I say that like I'm 60, in my younger heyday when I was running around London doing a lot of dating, this platform was one of the platforms that I often frequented. So it is so lovely to be joined today by the head of Bumble for the UK and Ireland, Naomi Walkman. Welcome to the BBC.
Hello, thank you so much for having me. I'm also pleased to hear you were a Bumble fan. That's great.
I was a bumblebee, if I can call myself that. I was indeed. I mean, you know, we all frequented many an app, but we all have different favourites, I'm sure. Naomi, we are hopefully, God, please hope we are coming out of what has been an incredibly difficult time for everyone. And we're all emerging like butterflies, hopefully, into the world once more. It has been a difficult year, but also it's been an incredible time for online dating, hasn't it?
Yeah, it's been, like you said, it's been a very difficult year, but there's been such positives when it comes to dating. I think, you know, during the first lockdown at Bumble, we saw an increase in people using the app and having conversations and using features such as video calling or voice calling. And I've got to say, some of the stories have been absolutely brilliant in how people have got creative when it comes to video calls and things. And I think, you know, I've heard amazing stories from our community, such as meet the dogs on a call or following a recipe whilst having a video call. And I think it's been absolutely fantastic. But I think what's also been good about this period of time is that it's really meant that people really understand what they want and what they're looking for. And I think one of the biggest shifts that we've seen amongst our community is people know what they want and they're not afraid to say that. And I think this time has given us a bit of perspective to really understand what we want in a relationship. And so I think there's a lot of positives. I think there's a lot of positives such as, you know, video call dates and the fact that you can do that from the comfort of your home, or even just a walk in the park kind of date, socially distanced. So I think people have really got a bit creative during this period of time.
Naomi, you've said there that people have gained perspective, and I keep asking every relationship expert, dating coach, you know, person who works at these kind of apps and these online platforms, I ask everyone this question because I genuinely don't know the answer. Has that perspective made people realize that actually there is this renewed sense of importance on relationships, this renewed sense of, if anything else happens like this, I don't want to be alone for it again. And we've all suddenly understood the value of love and commitment and intimacy. Or on the other side, have we all just thought, God, I can't wait to get out and have loads of casual sex and date and just be out there and like we're going to have this roaring 20s again where there's lots of lascivious behavior and it's all short skirts and long nights?
It's definitely a combination of both, to be honest. I think a lot of people, it's been a time of reflection and they've actually thought, okay, I'm really looking for a partner or a certain type of relationship. But on the other side as well, people are also looking for connections. Like we are, as human beings, we're always longing for connections. And I think a platform like ours at Bumble, we've been that source of connection during this period of time. But I think, you know, leading up and around this particular period and, you know, the bank holiday coming up, we're definitely predicting this summer of love, this kind of 60s period, this freedom to date as well. It's a really exciting time. And, you know, when I think back, similar to you, I'm also a Bumblebee and I met my husband on Bumble. It's such an exciting time when you get from talking on the app to kind of meeting those people in real life as well. So what we're really predicting and what we've seen in our research is this kind of period of people taking control of their dating lives. And we're seeing this, what we're kind of coining bank holidating. So people are really going to make the most of May's bank holidays and are looking to meet in real life. I think a lot of Brits are also demanding a few more bank holidays to ensure they can find their love. But there's this sense of, you know, let's meet, let's enjoy this, and let's kind of have a great summer and make great connections.
Is it just me, Naomi, or did we not have that emphasis on dating before? I feel like previously we would always put family and friends first. We would never ditch friends for a date. But actually your research shows that a lot of singles are ready to ditch their family and friends to go on dates in May.
Yeah. Also, when you think about it, I've I know I haven't seen my mum in a while, but I've FaceTimed and spoken to my mum a lot. And I think a lot of us have kept in touch with family and friends during this time. What we're now longing for is that connection and a lot of time to kind of meet people as well and go on dates as well. I think that's something we've just not had. And so I think, people are going to prioritize it. Sorry, parents and family, but people are really looking. People are really looking for that freedom today and actually date in real life. We've spoken about it a lot during this period, and so I think it's definitely a moment where people will be seizing the date and seizing this period of time.
So basically, Naomi, what you're telling our listeners is if they've got plans with their family over the bank holiday weekend, and if there is a sudden cancellation and they say, oh, I don't feel that well, they're probably out on a date.
Oh, totally. They're definitely out on a date and they are looking to make connections, go out, go on a social distance walk. But yeah, apologies in advance to all the parents or friends who get messages of people bailing on bank holidays.
Listen, it will just be a wonderful story at the wedding if it ends up down an aisle. So actually just have to look at it like that, perhaps.
Exactly.
Naomi, I wanted to ask you, again, this came up in your research, which I thought was really, really interesting. And it showed that 48% of Brits have agreed that there's less judgment around going on multiple dates a week because actually serial dating has been frowned upon. But actually lots of people do look at dating, especially online dating, as a matter of numbers, in the same way as if you're working a sales job and to get a certain amount of leads, you have to make a certain amount of calls, and to get a certain amount of interviews, you have to get a certain amount of leads, and so forth. Lots of people, they still approach dating like that, but that has previously had a lot of judgment around it, but it seems that we're easing our judgmental lens.
Yeah, definitely. I think there's a lot less judgment now as well. And I think it really means you can kind of put your online connections to the test and really see if they feel the same way in real life without worrying what people think about it. And I think another thing that we've seen during this period of time is that people are also not ashamed to say that they've met someone on a dating app. So we're actually seeing that a lot of things are becoming normalized. And as part of that, going on multiple dates. And I think it's a good thing. There's it's not a negative thing at all. It's a good thing to explore the other connection. And I think it's good to really put those conversations to the test and not worry about that at all. And I think, when I think about Bumble, which is a woman-first platform, we're really about putting women in control of their dating journeys and taking ownership. And that might mean a long-term relationship, or that might mean just, a casual, fun relationship during the summer. It can be whatever you want to, but it's kind of putting you in control of your dating journey. And I think that's one of the things which has really come out during this period of time. It's like you set what you want on your own terms, and you really take control of your dating journey as lockdown restrictions ease, and we kind of take in all the positives and the great lessons that we've learned during this period.
And what do you think has changed for dating, either, and perhaps both, for the better and for the worse because of the pandemic?
Yeah, I think the fact that you can now almost date from the comfort of your home and have what I'm calling a pre-date. So the fact that you can actually see is there a connection before dating in real life, I think that's a great thing. And I think it's also a great thing for a lot of people who are busy or on the move, that you can have a bit of a date and have that conversation. And if it's worthwhile, then go to meet that person. And I think a lot of things around setting your intentions and being clear on what you want and taking control of your dating journey, I think that's all positive. And also just the fact that a lot of stigma around meeting online or multiple dates is diminishing. And I think a lot of people are becoming less judgmental. So from what I can see, it's been amazingly positive, and we're really predicting that a lot of these behaviors will stay intact. And I know from a lot of my friends, they're like, I definitely will be pre-dating forever. This is just one of those things that I'll be doing. I can wear my pajamas and have a conversation and no one knows at all. So we're really expecting a lot of these behaviors to continue, and rightfully so. And I think as this bank holiday period comes up, we're really expecting a lot more people, similar to what we saw last year, to engage with the app and look to meet people and make plans as well. So I think ahead of May and ahead of indoor restrictions lifting, there's going to be a lot more kind of searching to kind of get those dates locked down as well.
I think people have realised, haven't they, Naomi, the importance of time and how we've been spending our time. And suddenly when we all ground to a halt and we had to think about what we had been doing running around and who we'd been seeing and where we'd been spending our time, people kind of thought, maybe I haven't been spending it as wisely as I should have. And those pre-dates kind of cuts down on that, doesn't it?
Yeah, absolutely that. And I think when I think about even myself during this period of time, it's been a great period of reflection, understanding kind of how I've been spending my time, what am I loving 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 spending my time, what am I love looking for. So yeah, those pre-dates really cut that down and really just help make, dating an enjoyable journey. And I always say, and my tip is always dating needs to be fun. And I think a lot of the things that we've learned this year have made them fun, whether that's meeting your dog on a video call or doing something or having a creative date. But it's all about having fun and really just enjoying this period.
Yeah, because dating can be quite arduous, I think. Before we went into lockdown, a lot of my friends spoke about it in that way, and they were like, oh, I've got to go on a date. And it's not that they didn't want to meet someone, they did, but the process can be long and it can be tiring, and you can have incredible conversation with someone online and then you can meet in real life and there be nothing there.
And I think that does happen sometimes. So that's why I think the multiple dates is a great thing. You can test out connections with various people, but also just I think that's why this period in particular, this summer of love, this 60s, this kind of fanfare, I think that's going to be an exciting time. And kind of what we're experiencing and when we speak to our community is just that they're feeling excited about this freedom and opportunity to date. So I definitely feel that, yes, dating can sometimes be a little bit hard, but it's fun. And I think, on platforms like Bumble, we really try and make sure that an enjoyable experience and you make those meaningful connections and really establish that as well, whether that's the video calling or using some of our great features such as question game to kind of break an icebreaker and different things. But I think this period and this summer period is going to be great. And I mean, everyone's got a lot to talk about after this year, don't they? How was your lockdown? How was yours?
Absolutely. That's become the new, what did you do on the weekend question.
Absolutely.
What did you do for lockdown 1, lockdown 2 and lockdown 3? Because, that is the reality. Naomi, I wanted to ask you, when the pandemic first hit, was there ever a panic over at Bumble? And I panic is a strong word, but was there ever a sense of worry or fear? Actually, we're all getting locked down. What are we going to do? How are we going to survive? How are we going to evolve and keep in contact with people?
No, we didn't have a worry because, as Bumble's been a source of connection, we are a platform which facilitates connections online, and we had video calling and voice calling features in place even before lockdown. So a lot of our community were using that ahead of that. So for us, it was really more around how can we support our community during this period of time. So we actually launched a couple of features during over the last 12 months, such as a feature which helped our community on communicating how they want to date. So you could add a badge to your profile and say, I was looking for video dating or virtual dating only or social distance with a mask, to really just support our community during this period of time. Because I think, like we can all say, and I'm sure you would agree, like the dating rule book got thrown out the window over the last 12 months. So what we really thought in our role was really how do we help our community facilitate meaningful connections and how can we continue to support that during this period of time. But for us, we definitely saw increased engagement and app usage and also conversations and an increase in what we call meaningful conversations. So a lot of messages being exchanged in the first lockdown and what we're expecting as things start to ease now.
And let's just take a moment to talk about how apps like Bumble can help the older generation connect, because we sometimes fall into the trap of talking about dating only amongst the younger generation, which just isn't true at all, and that there are lots of older people who are becoming a lot more open to the idea of online dating.
Yeah, I mean, Bumble's a platform for all, and we're not particularly focused on one kind of age demographic at all. And I think I always say my kind of tips are when you are joining a platform like Bumble is really make an effort on your profile, really make time to pick your photos, really make sure you're really being distinct about your information, what sets you apart, what are you interested in, what are your hobbies. We've also got things like interest badges, so you can talk about a bit more about your values or your lifestyle choices and things as well. So I always say kind of getting your profile up and running, and on Bumble we're really about facilitating meaningful connections, and that really is for everyone as well. So would really encourage anyone who is kind of looking for dating and looking to find connections during this period of time to kind of give Bumble a go. And I think, particularly for women, where Bumble is a woman first platform, we're really about kind of putting control on women's lives and making sure that women feel empowered to make the first move, which I'm sure you probably remember and probably had some great opening lines that you used to make around making the first move when you were using Bumble as well.
I had some great lines. They were never reciprocated, though. Apparently, according to my male friend, I seem too intense. I've been told I'm too intense many a time. It's not the first time, Naomi. I prevailed and it was fine. Also, I wanted to talk about, the word connections, which you've mentioned so many times in this conversation, and it's one that we have talked about a lot during a year where we were not connected, physically at least, and the connections that we have in our lives were under such a spotlight as we nurtured them and as we held on to them, and as they were the things that got us through the pandemic. Bumble isn't just about dating, is it? Because you have Bumble BFF.
Yes, so we've got Bumble BFF and Bumble Biz as well, which is our professional networking platform.
And Bumble BFF is about connecting people who perhaps just are looking for a friend. They're looking for a mate. They want to make new friends. Maybe they've just moved to a new area, a new city. They're looking for people who have similar interests. It's not just romantic. It can be platonic connections as well.
Yeah, absolutely that. And I think, also, it has been a hard year. Loneliness has kind of been rife during this last year as well. And a lot of people have kind of turned to Bumble BFF to kind of make those platonic connections as well. And, I've met actually some fantastic and some of my closest friends through Bumble BFF as well. And I think kind of connectivity has just been something that we've all been longing for. And I think that's why a platform like Bumble to kind of make those connections, whether romantic or platonic, is a good place. And so it's been really interesting to see some of those shifts in behaviours. But yes, we definitely noticed a kind of a desire for platonic relationships as well as the romantic as well.
Naomi, in your experience and sitting where you do for your job, what does the future of dating hold for us all?
I think the future of dating is exciting. I think it's been, there's been tough times like we've kind of chatted about, but there's been some amazing, brilliant times. And I really think that as we go into this new phase of dating, I think people are going to be dating with intent. They're going to be seeking what they want. They're going to feel a lot more confident as well. And they're also going to feel a lot more open-minded as well. So I think there's some positives that we'll take through, which I'm really expecting to see that. And and hopefully we'll have a lot more stories and different couples and different people meeting and different stories on Bumble as well. But expecting a lot of positivity, expecting a lot of people to kind of take control of their dating lives, and also a lot of people to kind of feel confident about saying what they want and going for that. So I think that's all pretty positive. And when I think about when I was dating, I think I wasn't always the most confident around stating what I want. And it wasn't until I went onto Bumble where I made the first move and I had this confidence boost of okay, I'm in charge. I'm in charge of my dating journey. And I really felt that it was a place where I could set my intentions. So really expecting some of that behaviour to follow through over the next year.
Dating's age of intentionality, perhaps.
Yes. The age of intentionality and going for what you want.
Absolutely, I like the sound of that. Do you think online dating is going to supersede all other forms of dating? I feel like, and people do say this kind of a negative when they're speaking about online dating, and they say, well, it's ruined it. Everyone's got their head in their phone, even in a bar, to see who's around, and now everyone's afraid to go up and have just a genuine conversation and create a connection out of thin air because we all just rely on the apps now. I'm biased, right? And I'm a big proponent of online dating. And I think, what we've seen is there's less stigma around it. And so I think a lot of people are going to be turning to online dating. And I think online dating can be as romantic as in real life dating as well. And I think it's part of the fun as well. And I think one of the things that we really noticed as well is from a recent survey that we did is that, a lot of Brits actually feel it's possible to fall in love with someone they've not met in real life. So I do think that intimacy and digital intimacy and that rise of that and that connectivity can still happen on dating apps. Naomi, you said you met your husband on Bumble.
I did.
You're like the best brand ambassador ever. How was your first date with your husband, who you didn't know was going to be your husband at the time?
I know. First date was great. We actually had an 8-hour date, so we were doing things that people have been doing during the pandemic. So we met for coffee, and then we walked along the South Bank, along the river in London, and went for drinks and it was a very long date, and it was great, and I kind of look back on it fondly, and then the rest is very much history. I had a few more dates. I continued to make the first move in our relationship, and then we got married about 3 years ago.
Amazing. Look, 8-hour date. They always say when you're doing online dating, first date, make it snappy. And I've said this to my friends so many times. I'm like, my friend will be like, oh, I'm going to go for a dinner with this guy. We've been talking online. And I will be the person that says, absolutely not. You need to go for a coffee. Not, 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 you need to go for a coffee. Always the person saying, quick, snappy dates, get out.
Yeah, but my intention was the coffee. Let's see what it's like. But then we got on so well. And I think one thing which really helped, and this is why I always advocate putting as much information on your profile, is that he really was explicit about kind of what his interests were. And I was the same on my profile. So we already knew there was a bit of a connection because we were both really interested in running and fitness and different things like that as well. So we spoke a lot about that. But yes, I know it's great. And I'm very happy to have met him on Bumble.
Was there ever a moment, and let's just pretend that your husband's not listening to this and he's never, ever going to listen to it. Naomi, was there ever a moment where you text your girlfriends and you were like, oh, I don't know about this one? Because I'm going to say we all have those moments.
I've had that moment, definitely, but it wasn't with him. But I do remember kind of after a glass of wine being like, this is the most amazing date I've ever had. So I definitely was pretty much gushing. And so I'm definitely not playing it cool now. I probably said to him at the time I was undecided, but yeah, I definitely had a good feeling. As I'm definitely a bit of a romantic.
Oh, look at that. There is hope. My heart, my bitter, jaded, sinister heart tells me, Naomi, that there is hope for all of us out there, perhaps. That romance and, I don't know, just old-fashioned romance is still alive. People can still be wooed.
Yes, definitely. I definitely agree.
And it's happening this bank holiday Monday, apparently.
Yeah.
We are on the cusp of the weekend talking now. Well, actually, midnight. We've gone into Friday now, and it's a long weekend. Everyone is apparently going to be cancelling their family plans to go on dates. But, you know, if their dates are anything like yours, Naomi, it's going to end in marriage. And therefore, no one can complain at all if anyone cancels plans. Naomi Walkland, it's been such a joy chatting to you. Thank you so much for chatting to you. Thank you so much.